Real grateful that you joined us to watch this seminar here. My name is David Good, and let's get into it. There we go. Now you can see me. Let me just maximize this presentation. Here we go. So this presentation is for our volunteers and partners of the Organization for Good, which formerly was International Friend Connection. This is our virtual meeting safety and operations guide based upon all the policy that we came up with when we were doing the International Friend Connection virtual meetings. And this is January of 2026. So this is going to be a three-part presentation. We're going to talk about the policies and kind of rules and things we did. Then I'm going to do a deep dive into the Zoom security settings. And then we're going to demo a live meeting from start to finish with a Zoom bomber, someone disruptive coming in to disrupt the meeting and how we deal with them. So let's start. Just a little bit about me. I'm David Good, founder of the Organization for Good. Started with one group in Grand Rapids in 2014 called West Michigan Geeks. Kind of help people like me make friends, and kind of blew up and its max was like 50 chapters. But also created the Friend Magnet social intelligence system for neurodivergent professionals or shy or awkward people who actually finally want to learn how to come out of their shell and make those human connections. I personally led around 2,200 live events in person and online over the years. Help shy people and neurodivergent people make friends. Built the organization over 11 years. Team of 100 volunteers. I think at once we had 30 volunteers working simultaneous. Together we've run about roughly 5,000 free events. We peaked with 50 groups, and now we're just focusing on in-person groups. So we shrank our number of groups and are focusing on in-person impact and have different groups around the world. Love the acceptance and commitment therapy model. It's a great coaching model, so I got a certificate in that, and also became a certified professional coach. I got recognized also by President Biden. Points of Light declared me a point of light. Bob Berg gave me a big endorsement. Good friend of mine, also buddy of mine, David Siegel, former CEO of Meetup. Been in all of the major news networks. I'm an Ivy League speaker and have been consulted by some of the largest mental health systems as well. Feel free to get in touch with me via my website at davidgood.org. So I'm going to talk about what our virtual meetings were. They got created during COVID, and you can see my forthcoming book, From Bedridden to the Boardroom, to get the whole story of the International Friend Connection and how it came to be. But the idea is the virtual meetings where they were not direct mental health support. This caused less stigma. It also was something missing because a lot of people didn't really need to go in the mental health system. They were just really freaking lonely, and that triggered the depression and the rest of the mental health issues. So our goal was kind of get people who were on the verge of maybe going to the mental health system, or people who just wanted to see a friendly face at night. And I think we accomplished our mission from a lot of the messages I get, people in dire straits saying they survived because of us. Then one thing, we always strict boundaries. Somebody needed to go in the mental health system. That was a rule. They had to be referred out. We stayed in our lane. We weren't trained mental health providers until later when I got a lot of training to become a certified professional coach. And even then we learned when to refer people into the mental health system, because face it, if you're not trained, you can really mess someone else up that is going through a mental health crisis. Also provide a place for shy people to practice speaking, being on camera. And the idea for all of our events, in person, local, let's just work on calming people's nervous systems for a couple hours, because, world's got a lot going on it. Let's take people's nervous systems from up here and from down here and getting them used to seeing people as safe when probably all their lives they've never seen people as safe. So let's get the safe people together. Let's build psychological safety, and let's help people out a little bit. Now, here's some of our basic rules for members. No member could record an event Well, except when we did do recorded events or live stream events, and then hosts could do that. But members could not record. You do that, you're out of the group. No warnings. Is be kind during the meeting, and when you're in doubt, be nice. And difference in being kind and nice is boundaries can be kind of hard to figure out. But when in doubt, just be nice. Kind of be positive. Some of my hosts came up with that. And then my rule was like, if people wanted to talk about something they were going through, we just didn't want to be a place where they could just dump and talk about all their misery. You can talk about solutions. We want to encourage people to find solutions rather than just kind of wallowing in their misery. They can talk about a solution that they're pursuing or asking if anybody else has pursued a solution, though we didn't give official mental health advice, but we can refer people out. Wasn't a place to start arguments or drama, and obey the hosts. Just some basic common sense rules to keep it a safe experience for everybody and a calm experience for everybody. Million places on the internet where you can argue and debate with people. We weren't one of them. And that was something I had a notion that people really need that, and turned out they did. And some people would complain, and I'm like, well, there are a million communities on the internet that you can argue and debate and fight with people. We're just not one of them. We have a totally different purpose. Yeah, so one thing, if you're going to be hosting Zoom meetings, especially to deal with troubles that pop up, you need to be using an actual computer, like a PC or a Macintosh, desktop or laptop. And mouse usually can be faster with a mouse than a trackpad. Yeah, don't host a meeting from your phone. Don't host a meeting from a tablet. You don't get access to all the Zoom settings, and reaction time, if problems happen, is a lot slower. I would always start Zoom, and then I would verify that my audio and video were working. And then I'd log in, and then I would enable the in-meeting security settings. Now, you would have a rule. In this rule, the early days of International Friend Connection, I just threw up a meeting, and I'm like, people could come if they want and just keep me company, and it blew up into this big global thing. So we had an entry rule, and this worked out real good. So whenever we were talking about something or having a discussion, new person would come in, we would pause whatever we were doing. We would thank and welcome the new person and thank them for coming, and that made people feel good. A lot of people say they felt ignored in other groups. Now, one of the things, though, is, we had a lot of different breakout rooms too people could split into, but the main room, you had to prevent one person from talking for like 10 minutes, and some people can like to go on, and you have to gently kind of interrupt and say, hey, we want to make sure we give thanks so much for sharing, but we want to make sure we give everybody who wants to a chance tonight. Especially put some pauses in there and ask if there's anyone that hasn't spoken yet that wants to speak. Do that, especially when playing some games for shy people to kind of want to take turns answering conversations. Always had that pause. Some people will mute everybody and then make people raise their hands if they want to speak, and then they'll unmute them once they're called on. That's a great safety measure. Now, biggest thing you're going to encounter is Zoom bombers and trolls and disruptive people there to disrupt the meetings. Now, and these are people who come to the meetings, they're all of them young boys. We had among like thousands of meetings, or 1,000 meetings or more. Yeah, thousands of meetings. We had like maybe one girl that was a Zoom bomber. They're all young boys. Some of them will appear normal and then they'll wait a while. But, with Meetup, you can't have people under 18 at your events unless they're there with a parent. But yeah, they all had something common. They're all young boys, and some of the things they would do, send inappropriate messages via chat. The common thing is they will just start playing very inappropriate video clips, and you can use your imagination as to what horrible and offensive stuff they would do that. And someone would have YouTube channels. They'd want to record people's responses. So you had to learn to really remain calm and not panic and remove those people that were causing the trouble. Sometimes they would be able to copy the names of a current attendee and then bounce from breakout room to breakout room to be harder to remove. I've seen some groups, lock down the breakout rooms and manually put people in breakout rooms so that they can't do that. We got good at dealing with them. Really, the only way to deal with them is right click and remove, and you can report to Zoom, but Zoom really doesn't do much because they're overloaded with reports. So, what are some ways that what are some things that you can put in place to prevent these people? I've never seen someone bomb a paid meeting. And then also there are multiple registration layers. Like we use the website Meetup, where they have to register on Meetup before they get that link. Now, sometimes what some people would do on Meetup was they won't give the link out on the Meetup website till like an hour or so before the meeting, or they will email it to people, or they will have the link and then maybe email the password to people. And another thing is there's a setting in Zoom I hope to show you that where they have to have an actual Zoom account. They can't be a guest. They have to sign up for Zoom, have a Zoom account. That makes them easier to ban. Also, there's another setting in Zoom that where people will have to register for the meeting, give their email and everything, and that's another layer you can put in. So a lot of different layers besides just giving people a link and letting people come. But that's usually what we did. We got good at dealing with Zoom bombers, and people were warned that some people might come in, do some inappropriate things, but we get rid of them very quickly. Now, whenever somebody new would come in, that we started this policy after getting a lot of those Zoom bombers, and some nights, like a couple of nights, we got like 20 of them. Like they'd get their friends and they'd all come in, and they were just bored young boys, during lockdown. And even now, there's still people years after COVID, the crisis. There's still kids doing that. Kind of like you did prank calls as a kid. But some were just real malicious. So yeah, when people would come on, we required several things. We had a screening process. So somebody would call in, we would pause the conversation. If we knew them, they could just talk because I knew their voice. Or if they were brand new, they would have to come on camera. And then they would have to talk too. And they'd have to be in camera a little while, like a minute, just so we could make sure that they were a real person. That they weren't Zoom bomber there to cause trouble. And we required them to come on camera a little bit because some of these people, they would use a looping video or a video for their camera feed. So they would try to trick you that way. So pretty tricky. That's why we required people to have their camera on. Sometimes, if they're pretty young, I'd say, hold a few fingers, make sure it's not a looping video. But, it's just a battle. You got to be, and so here's the thing. This is something I learned when I was building e-commerce websites, a principle. It applies to all these security settings too. Before every barrier that you put in place between them and coming to the meeting reduces attendance, but it also increases safety. So you want to balance it depending upon your purpose. If you're running like official mental health support, then safety is a paramount. So then you may need several layers. You may even need a pay layer. Have people pay to attend if you're a therapist running group sessions. But yeah, generally, the more barriers you put in place, the less people will actually show up. But then the people who do show up will be more serious, and they actually need whatever you're providing. Yeah, so I'm going to go over waiting room settings. We'll go over this flow when we run a sample meeting. Generally, when people come in, they will be in the waiting room. And if they had a fishy name, we would ask them what they wanted to be called during the meeting. Then we rename them. We send them a DM. I got to check if Zoom will allow you to allow them to respond to you. I think there's a setting to allow them to respond to you. And then what we do if they can't get their camera or audio to work, we'll put them in the waiting room. We'll wait a few minutes, and then we'll say, hey, if you gotten your camera and audio problems resolved, and then we'll let them back in, verify them again. But yeah, we don't just allow people to say like oh, and there were a lot of legit people that we removed, but some people are like, oh, it's at night and I don't want to be on camera, so it's at night. I'm all ready for bed. And well, the thing is, safety took priority there. So if you don't want to show your face on camera, sometimes we're feeling generous. If we didn't have that many people, we could take them in a private breakout room and then they could come on camera. A lot of people very self-conscious. I did the hard work in therapy to remove being so self-conscious of how I looked. So it's possible to overcome if people want to do the internal work. But a lot of people don't even know their resources to help them do that work. Yeah, and as far as messaging safety during the meeting, we turned off, we had a lot of incidents where people were reporting inappropriate messages sent to them via the Zoom DMs. So we turned off private messages. So people could chat in an everyone chat, and you may want to turn that off too, but we liked having the everyone chat. Some people were more like to type more than talk on camera. So we had the everyone chat, and then people could also message hosts and co-hosts. We'll show you how to set these settings up later. Now, yeah, when you have an incident, when one of these Zoom bombers does something, you have to right-click on their right-click on their video and feed and just remove immediately. You don't engage with them. And you remain calm, just right-click and remove, and you can fill out the Zoom report if you want. Now, sometimes, people do have trouble or have problems, and you do a false removal. Well, we always have the setting to where they can't come back. They can come back in 24 hours. So if I get one of those messages or comments saying, oh, I was really removed, a really angry message, and some people send you really angry messages, we say, well, you're welcome to come back in 24 hours. And then they give us another angry message, and they don't understand what you do. They may be a fit to, well, then it's not our problem really, but that was something that may be more help than we could need more help than we could provide. So now what I want to do is I want to go through a lot of these Zoom settings for you and how you can harden your meetings. So let me go to my Zoom home screen. Here we go. I'm going to turn off my camera. There we go. Got my camera turned off now. So the Zoom interface is designed for IT people. It's not designed for the average person. That's why it's so complex. And that's why there's so many different settings. And then you have personal settings. And then you also have administrator settings. Now, the difference is personal settings are for this Zoom account only. Administrator settings can be set by the administrator. Now, if you only have one Zoom account, you get access to both settings. If you have like 5 Zoom accounts under the same company, the main account, any account assigned administrator will be able to access the administrator settings, and that's where I want to start. Because these are universal settings that will apply to every meeting and every account in your plan. Most of the time, you're probably just using one Zoom account. And if you're part of a large organization, you probably work with your IT department for the administrator settings. So you log in, here's your home screen. On the left side of the screen, you want to scroll all the way down under account management. And then once we hit account management, we want to go account settings. Now we're going to do a bit of a deep dive. You may want to turn off the AI companion. People usually have to ask permission to turn that on. So I leave that on. I use my Zoom account I would use it for virtual meetings, and I would use it for my private meetings with people. So I wouldn't use a lot of these settings. I would turn them on manually during the meeting, and we'll go over to that too. So AI companion, you might want to turn that off just so you don't have to mess with it. We'll go under general settings. Custom emojis, you may want to turn that off. Prevent people from uploading inappropriate emojis. Security. Oh, they moved. So Zoom is always moving around their settings a little bit, it seems. But security, now, one of the first settings is disclaimer. I'll go over that real quick, how to do that if you want. And it's debatable whether a disclaimer actually protects you or not in the USA, but I like to have it. And here's how you would set it up. Now, if you set it up here, it'll be for every meeting in every account. But you can turn that on. Frequency, whether you want it the first time somebody logs into your meeting or every time somebody logs into your meeting. Those are the two most common settings. And then what you do, you write your disclaimer. Title, they've got rich text box here. And then you click save, and that will be for all of your meetings and sub accounts. System updates require users to update the client. That may be good to turn on so that people have to use the latest version of the Zoom client. And then I really don't touch any of these others in this one. Let's go down to other to see if yeah, there's not really any other settings I touch on there. Now let's go to the meeting tab, the first tab there. So you have the general settings. Yeah, you can keep these things on if you want. Security is the most important one. Now, you cannot change. All meetings will have to have at least one security option on. And waiting room is a very common one. We'll teach you how to use the waiting room. You can customize your waiting room rules down here. Let's edit those options. Yeah, we would just always have everybody go into the waiting room. So that would be the option. You can customize the waiting room too. Like we had welcome to the International Friend Connection. You can have a logo and description. And then we just had some little thing about, our conduct policy and disclaimer, or our conduct policy, and then some little description of what was going on. Meeting passcode. Now, this setting will apply to all the sub accounts and your meetings. So you can turn that on. Personal meeting ID. Do not use your personal meeting ID for recurring meetings. Keep that private. And some people actually recommend that you use a unique meeting link for every meeting. And the Meetup software, once you connect it to your Zoom, it'll generate a unique meeting link for every meeting. Room meeting ID, passcode. Yeah, you can keep that on if you want. Require passcode for participants joining by phone, all kind of passcode requirements. I'll let you look at these on your own. Yeah, this setting is if you want to embed that passcode in the invite link so that people can just click on it and join it. Eventually in International Friend Connection, we removed that passcode because we were an open meeting for everybody, but you may want to have a passcode for your meeting. There was some in the past, there's been some kind of criticism that Zoom passcodes did not work, but now they may have fixed that problem. Yeah, this is a setting now. Only authenticated meeting participants and webinar attendees can join meetings and webinars. And then you can choose one of the authentication messages or methods. So sign into Zoom is one of the default things. You can turn off authentication if you want to truly meeting open to everybody, but you'll get more Zoom bombers. Sign into Zoom, that's going to make sure everybody has a Zoom account. So you may want to click that. And then, yeah, I would only allow authenticated people to join meetings from the web client. I think that's really smart. You can turn on encryption if you want. There's a chat etiquette tool that I think what that will do, it'll censor out certain words in chat. Then if you want to start the meetings with the host video on, force the sub accounts to do that and yourself, or start meetings with participant video on. I like that option. I'm going to set that there while we're here. Allow participants, yeah, do not allow people to join your meeting before you're there. Don't allow any unsupervised meetings. You can turn the personal ID meeting off, but then you won't get to use that meeting. And let's see, let's go down to in-meeting basic. Meeting chat, you can allow people to copy or save the chats if you want and put the permissions on for that. Continuous meeting chat, I'm not a big fan of that. But that's a newer feature in Zoom, and you can look that up. Yeah, they got a lot of chat permissions, so just go through the permissions and see which ones are right for you. So again, it just takes some time to go to the permissions, see what's right for you. Here's some permissions around breakout rooms. Yeah, there's just kind of, as you see, there's kind of a few things. There's a profanity filter you can turn on. Captions, if you want to save captions, it's just going through these settings and figuring out what's best for you. But remember, if you touch them under account management, it's going to change them for all your SubZoom accounts. Then let's see, is there anything else? Yeah, not really any other security settings. So let's go back up to the other tab. As I told you, Zoom has a ton of security settings. We don't do webinars, recording, and transcript. And then there's all kind of settings regarding recording. Mail camera, Zoom apps, what we're not on tasks. And that's kind of it for as far as security. Now, here's the second security section. So we're in account management at the bottom. Now, if we go back to the top, we want to scroll down. Okay, so you're at the top under personal. Scroll slowly down, and then there's a settings under personal. Now, this is settings for your personal account only, not for the main account and the sub accounts. Though if you only have one account, like I said, the admin settings are going to affect these settings as well. And always, we'll demo this in a bit, but always there's the search settings because there's so many dang settings, and this was designed for IT people. So we get the AI companion. Let's go to the general settings. Yeah, you can set these if you need those. We've gone over a lot of these settings. Now here's the meeting settings. So go to security. Yeah, this will always be checked. You can't turn this off. Require that all meetings are secured with one security option. Enable waiting room. It's good to if you don't use waiting room, then you got to have other options. If you want to have a passcode for your meeting. Now, like I said, if you change it under admin settings, you may not be able to change it under here. So if something's disabled here, go into the admin settings, and then it's probably has a setting that affects it here. Zoom can be rather complex. But as you see, a lot of these settings are duplicated. So you can just go through the settings and find out which ones are good for you. Yeah, I like to have, we require participants to start their video when they join. Well, at least all new people that we don't recognize and that we don't recognize their voice. So I like to turn that on. That's a good setting. Yeah, I was scheduling a meeting. I don't like to use my personal meeting ID. That's mute all participants when joining a meeting. That's a reasonable setting. I know a lot of groups that'll do that. That prevents the Zoom bombers from playing audio. Then they'll just play video. You can also have people's video turned off during the meetings too. Yeah, here's some other basic settings, chat settings. Yeah, so meeting chat, you can turn meeting chat on or off for your meetings. And then here is where we talked about meeting chat. So what we do is we allow participants to chat with everyone, and then see if you want people to save the chat, they can export the chat and save that chat. You can click keep this clicked. If not, just uncheck that. Or if you want people to only talk to hosts and co-hosts, that's fine too. But everyone will allow people to talk to everyone. You generally don't want to say everyone and anyone directly, because then people can send each other DMs and it can become a nightmare because you get people sending each other. I mean, some of the nicest people will send some of the most inappropriate messages to other people. Yeah, and again, we've seen some of these settings in the admin settings, but these settings are only for your account. Send files, if you want people to put links in chat, keep that on. Meeting chat, direct messages for other participants. That's kind of, that's kind of duplicated from above. But if you don't want people DMing each other, then turn that off. Send files via meeting chat. You can turn that off. It creates a safer environment. Allow the host to add co-hosts. You want to have this on. And here's a trick when you let people share screen. Oh, we'll go over that too, about sharing the screen. Here's some more. So how many people can share a screen at the same time? Keep this on or turn it off if you don't want people to share screens in their meetings. But I keep it on one participant at a time, and who can share? The host. And also co-hosts will be able to share as well. Or people can request screen share. And sometimes for trusted people, we would do that too. So yeah, a lot of these you may want to turn off whiteboards. That's annoying too. A lot of these will turn off during the meeting, just because I like to keep them on for other meetings. So we always had a checklist we would do. Now allow remove participants to rejoin. I believe, yeah, keep this off. If you have this turned off, then they'll be banned for 24 hours. Yeah, allow people to rename themselves. Sometimes Zoom bombers will do that and jump around your breakout rooms to, or keep renaming themselves as legitimate people in your audience so that you'll remove one of them. Yeah, that happened to us before. We removed someone accidentally because of that. Yeah, we allow us to rename people in the waiting room. As you can see, there's so many settings. Let's go down to the advanced settings. Whether you want people to report to Zoom. Whether you want users to do it. Yeah, I just turned that off. Zoom gets flooded with reports. For breakout rooms, we keep that on. We like splitting that up. And they got some new options for breakout rooms there. Captions. You want to turn in captions, email notifications, some other than any. Yeah, not really any other ones. Those are all the main settings. Let's go back up to here. Recording. Same as the other recording. Who can have permission to record? Where can they record? If it's automatic. I never have automatic recording, but that's come back to bite me before. And that's pretty much it for the Zoom security settings. Now we can go, what I want while I'm working with you, what I want to do is I want to go to meetings and we're going to schedule a demo meeting. This isn't a full Zoom tutorial. I just want to go over some security settings, but so this is one thing. This is registration. If you want, so here we are, we've clicked, let me go back to meeting. I'm going to click schedule a meeting. This is going to pop up. We name the meeting. do whatever you want. But here's one security setting: registration right here. You put required. They're going to have to fill out a form before getting into the meeting. And that can be another security layer. There's a passcode. Waiting room's always good. And then you just save your meeting. Now, once you save your meeting, there are certain settings that you cannot change. It'll give you the Zoom link, passcode and everything. It'll usually embed the passcode in the Zoom link. Now, let's edit this meeting. And yeah, looks like you can edit that. Oh, there's some optional settings. Yeah, you don't want to allow participants to join anytime. So this would apply earlier too when you were creating the meeting. We just didn't do the optional settings. Mute participants on entry. I know a lot of people that do that. Allow hosts save the video order. I never use that. Breakout room pre-assigned. This will allow you to create your breakout rooms ahead of time. And then it's especially great in a recurring meeting if you know what the breakout rooms are. And then if you want the meeting automatically recorded. So it reproduces a lot of the other settings in the individual meeting setting. So let's cancel out of this and let's go back. Those are all your Zoom security settings. So we can move on. Now I'm going to show you a live safe meeting. So cool. I'm going to stop the presentation. And I'm going to show you how I run a meeting. So here I am. Basically, this is a demo event I put up, Create Our Events on Meetup, which you've watched the other, you've watched our other leadership series and learned how to create events. But yeah, all someone has to do is join the meeting. Or here's what I do. I join the meeting from the event page. So I browse the event page in Meetup. I'll click my own link. Continue. Google will tell me that Google will ask me if I want to open up the meeting. This is our disclaimer. I have it show to everybody. Just gives us some of the rules and links and things. We agree. It even shows it for me as a host. And I'm not going to use my camera here. So I'll start the meeting. This is before anyone. Yeah, we don't want to start AI Companion. So this is before anyone comes. What I will do is I will verify all my audio is working. So down over here in your bottom left, I'll click the little arrow by the audio icon, and I'm going to test speaker and microphone. So what I'll do, it's going to run a test signal, and then I'm going to do a test, which it played it back for me. So I know my audio's working. Turn your camera, get your camera working. So now here is where I set my settings. You can rearrange these icons on the bottom of the Zoom screen. I always put my host tools right here. This is all your security settings, most of your security settings. So when I enter the meeting, I uncheck a lot of these. Allow participants to share a screen, that's unchecked. Uncheck rename themselves. If you want to keep everybody muted until they can talk, unmute themselves, check. Start video, you can uncheck that to prevent Zoom bombers, then manually have people start their video. Share documents, uncheck that. Uncheck share whiteboards, uncheck share notes, uncheck collaborate with Zoom apps, uncheck share meeting content, uncheck set meeting timers, make sure record to computer is unchecked for people. Request to record to computer, you can uncheck that. Request host to start cloud recording, uncheck that too. And modify these depending upon what kind of meeting you're running. If it's a business meeting where you know everybody, but for a public meeting, pretty much uncheck all those that you can. Now we have the participants panel that will pop up. And if you go on the participants panel, go all the way down to the bottom, there's 3 dots on the lower right screen. Here's some permissions here that you can set for participants. You can ask all people to unmute, or you can mute people upon entry. This where you can also allow participants to unmute themselves, allow participants to rename themselves. So they've got some settings duplicated. Play a sound when someone joins or leaves, sound like that. And lock meeting, what that does, it prevents people from coming in. Now, you can also find someone in the participant list and then click mute if you want to mute that person. But then they can unmute that person if you have that permission to unmute turned on. So see, Zoom is a pretty complex piece of software. So, okay, now I'm going to go for chat. I'll go through chat. So chat is on the bottom of your, chat's on the bottom of your screen in the little control panel with the icons. Click chat, pops up the chat window. And you should have the permission. So in the chat window, under the gray bar where my mouse is, there's 3 little dots. These will help you set some permissions during the meetings. So yeah, we let people chat with everyone, which will which will show the general chat window that people can chat with, and then they can message co-hosts and hosts and co-hosts. Last thing I'll show you is the Zoom panic button, and I did a meeting with Zoom staff, and they told me about this. So it's under host tools down at the bottom. Now, if the meeting has totally gone off the rails, if you're freaking out, you're not used to Zoom bombers and everything yet, what you want to do is you want to click host tools and then see in red suspend participant activities. Now it's going to turn everybody's camera off. It's going to turn everybody's sound off or their microphone off. It's going to mute everybody, and that's going to make it so they can't turn any of those on. It's also going to lock the meeting. You may have to do this. You can do this rather than ending the meeting. Get your composure and then manually turn all the settings back on once you've removed the troublemakers. I rarely have to use this. I'm going to show you what we're going to do next as we're going to simulate an attack, a Zoom bomber attack, and I will show you how to deal with them. So we'll go back to the presentation. We'll go to live. Yeah, I just told you about that Zoom panic option and what it does. Now here's our last demo. So let me go back to my meeting, and then I'm going to get on my laptop here right next to you. Here is the Zoom meeting. Okay, we're in the Zoom meeting. I can't show my camera otherwise than my screen just looks like it has a million windows, but I'm going to simulate somebody coming into the meeting. So bear with me a second. So right now I'm having my laptop dial into the meeting on a different Zoom account. It's seeing the disclaimer, has to agree to the disclaimer. And as you see, I had the participant window opened up. If I did not, there'd be a little blue pop-up on the screen. Actually, I'm going to close these windows, and I'm going to do it again so you can see that little blue pop-up. I'm going to launch this meeting again now. This is the Zoom screen that you're seeing. And see, it will say, whatever users entered the waiting room, you click view, it opens up the participants window. Now I can see who that is, and then I can choose to admit them, I can rename them, or I can remove them right in this participants window. Or I can send them a message. So waiting room participants, I can say, please turn on your cameras. And then I know this person, it's me, so I can admit this person, or so to speak. Or we think we think we know that's me. Oh, it's me from the sides, it's me. But it could be, a Zoom bomber playing a video feed, and may take them a while to join with their computer audio. So they may start with camera off, and this is where I'd say, let me turn my volume audio in my laptop off, so it's not picking that. So I'd say, hey, David, thanks so much for coming tonight. Real grateful you came. Just so that we can verify that you're here for legitimate purposes, just please turn in your camera and also turn your audio. And then I'll talk with them a little bit, say hi to them. They'll talk, and then I can tell it's not a recording or whatever. They can stay in the meeting. Sometimes they'll get past you. And here's what you have to do. They may start playing something very inappropriate, either audio or video or both. So here's all you have to do. Watch my mouse. Right click on the video feed, and all you have to do is go remove. And then what you do, they will not be able to join that meeting. And they won't be able to join, they may be able to join the next meeting you do or get a 24-hour ban from joining any of your meetings. But you press remove. I can't remove myself right now, but that's all you have to do. And that's how you, and then what will happen is they will be removed from your meeting. And that's the only real way to deal with a Zoom bomber. It's not panic and right click and remove. I'm going to go ahead and end this meeting, come back to the presentation. And I want to give credit where credit's due. A lot of the settings I learned over the years of doing our international friend connection meetings. Oh, let me get myself back on the screen here. But there's also is a Zoom safety guide I found last year. Guy named Tom. Oh, I spelled his name wrong. It's T-H-O-M. Now, Tom did a ton of work, so he deserves the credit. You want to know everything about Zoom safety for like a support group or even settings that you didn't even know, please check out Tom's guide. It's just bit.ly Zoom-safety-guide, and that'll take care of you. But yeah, so this is how we run meetings, and this is how we keep them safe. Hope y'all learned something great tonight. Again, David Good. Actually, I will go back to that slide with my website on there. Let me just exit this so y'all can get my website. But yeah, get in touch with me, davidgood.org. If you have any questions, our volunteers, I could not have created all this without the help of the volunteers who also helped create all this. I'm just one man with a vision, but super grateful for the volunteers that helped me make it happen. I have only so much energy, and without those volunteers, International Friend Connection, Organization for Good, none of the meetup groups would exist. And so just very grateful to our volunteers, and thank you so much for volunteering. And our partners, thank you so much for watching this too. And hope everybody has a great day or night, wherever you're calling in from.